Hey there, guys. It's Slamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke, and do you want me to talk about Dragon Ball? Do you want me to talk about Dragon Ball? Do you want me to talk about Dragon Ball? Okay, I'll talk about Dragon Ball. But nah, today I figure would be, or I guess tonight, depending on when you're listening to this, would be a good time for me to review the previous arc of the Dragon Ball Super manga, because even after Moro, it kept going. In fact, as I'm recording this, on the 17th of December, because it's been a while. um, we're getting close to the next arc. They took a break for a little bit, but they're actually going to be doing a new arc involving Goten and Trunks and some like superhero stuff. Kind of, we don't really know where they're going with it exactly. I'll go more into it when we get to the end. But yep, I'm going to review now the arc of Dragon Ball Super known as Granolah the Survivor. Yeah, I'm still trying to kind of get used to these titles now. Normally I would just call it the Granolah Saga or whatever, but we'll see. I think what was the Galactic Prisoner? I think was what the last one was called, involving Moro, but I just call that the Moro arc. And I feel like even without his name being in the title, most people would probably consider this the Granolah arc, or the arc that another character was revealed or shown getting a new power, depending on how you want to look at it. But yeah, so I guess we'll just jump right into it. A couple things I want to note off the bat. As you can probably tell, the audio's a little different. The basement is finished, but as you can tell, and I think I mentioned this during the superhero movie review. The basement's finished, but there's some echo in this room. I'm actually recording in the basement right now using my new voiceover setup. So I'm actually standing up right now on this little mic stand and whatnot with like the little square sort of like box thing with the noise canceling foam inside it, which I don't think is really doing great, but still trying to kind of figure out how to make recording in this room work. Might just have to be a garage guy going forward, but got some plans for that. And also, like Tales of Arise before, I do have notes. Unlike Tales of Arise, these are actually really fucking thorough. Like, I basically ended up doing chapter synopsises, or however you say it, as I read through. The early stuff I didn't, but I did want to prepare. So, yeah, you have to kind of bear with the extra long sort of explanations of the story, because I was thorough. I decided to be super thorough with this. Because I wanted to, get as much information as I can, because this arc, overall, I liked. There's some things I didn't really like, and there's some things that I think is really cool, some stuff where it's like, well, that's interesting, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's just talk about the arc here. For those following, it's covering chapters, or this arc was chapters 68, almost nice, to 86. Interesting little setup there. But yeah, so I guess let's just get started. Like usual, I'm going to be going through the story pretty thoroughly, as I mentioned, because, thorough as fuck notes. But yeah, so it starts off pretty much more or less where we pick up with Granolah, this character, stealing the container of 7-3, and he goes back to this other planet, and he is like taking the little container of 7-3. It's actually kind of a cool looking castle. I actually really like these characters. Unfortunately, well, we'll get to that. I always jump ahead with these, but takes them to these guys called the Heaters. Like heating stuff up. That's going to come into play later on with their naming conventions. But during this trip, he's got like this little. You saw it. His little like what do you call it? Like, it's not a monocle, but it's like like half of a telescope. Like, I call it a sniper eye, even though he actually literally has a sniper eye underneath that. But he has this little communicator thing called oatmeal. I'm still not entirely sure what oatmeal actually is. I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments can sort of clarify that. But like, is oatmeal like just a computer? Or is oatmeal like someone who's just like watching from afar and being like, Granolah do this, Granolah do that, and like, I don't know. But they talk about sort of his history, and we learned that Granolah, based on his name, is a Cerealian. I'm probably butchering that, but Cerealian. And in fact, the first little section of the chapter that starts off this arc gives us a little bit of a tease as to what happened to him and his family and his race, meaning that we learn here that Granolah, his home world, his planet, was desecrated by the Saiyans, it looks like. And the place was in ruins. Typical. If you know Dragon Ball and you know the lore, you know basically what happened. Frieza sent the Saiyans to destroy planet. I think it's literally just planet Cereal. And you know how it is. Like they destroy the planet, kill everyone. Not literally destroy, like blow it up, but like they kill everything on there, destroy all life on there, and then they sell these planets to other people who want to migrate over. That's actually literally what happened. And so Granolah, while talking to Oatmeal, talks about how he has not only a hatred for Frieza, but also a hatred for the Saiyans in general, just because of all this stuff that's going on. And so he takes it to the Heaters. And he goes over and like, okay, here's the stuff, here's the money, thanks. And we get introduced to the Heaters. The leader, his name is Elec, as in electric heating stuff. Then we got Oil, who's this fat guy, heating like there. Then a slimmer guy who's actually kind of, he's going to be a little more prominent later on. His name's Gas. And then the girl, who thankfully, because I did go through back and look at the beginning stuff, I learned her name is actually Maki. I don't really get the pun on that one, but I just called her the girl, and in the rest of my notes, because she hangs around. But yeah, so some new characters, and Elec, he's all like, hey, thanks bruh. And then of course Granolah's all like, what's my next assignment? And then Elec's like, oh, see, here's the thing. You're gonna have to wait because Frieza has actually been revived. And Granollah's like, what? He's like, I want my revenge. He's like, bro, you're not strong enough to fight Granolah. Or Granolah, you're not strong enough to fight yourself. No, Granolah, you're not strong enough to fight Frieza. You need to chill, and we'll let you know when the assignment is. You need to like get strong and shit. And he's like, fine. And so he like runs off, and there's a little tiny arc, or not real an arc within an arc, but like there's a little tiny section where this freaking, I can only really describe him as like basically Granolah's Kui, to Vegeta in a way. His name is Soshiru. I keep wanting to say Soshiro, but it's Soshiru. He ambushes Granolah on like this isolated like meteor thing, and they fight and stuff, and basically it's just them showing off Granolah's like sniping abilities. He does like the finger gun things, like pew pew pew. And then they also show that like on his other eye, that's usually covered by like the little sniper thing, the telescope, whatever. I don't know what to call that, like, but the like the half goggle, I guess. They show that he's got like an actual like other eye. I think it's either literally a sniper eye or it's a bad eye, and he needs the other thing he needs the goggles to like help him see. Though that wouldn't make sense why he would take it off. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read this particular section, and like I said before, my notes aren't really that thorough here. So I remember some stuff, but a lot of it's like, well, But yeah, so Granolah, he just decides to go on home. And I'm doing this slightly out of order because in between this stuff, they show Goku and Vegeta training on Beerus's planet like usual and stuff. What's going on right now is that Goku's trying to catch the Oracle Fish so that Whis can give him some medication because poor old Oracle Fish has insomnia. Yep, apparently he can get insomnia. And Goku's like kind of grabbing himself. He's like, if you don't move, I'm going to fucking eat you. He doesn't literally say it like literally fucking eat you, but he does like, if you don't do this, I'm going to grill you up and stuff. And Whis has like a little needle that he injects the Oracle Fish with, and the Oracle Fish calms down. And he also talks about how whenever the Oracle Fish has insomnia, it's typically a bad omen, or it's nothing. And of course here, well, it's kind of a bad omen. And of course, knowing what I know about the arc now, or what we know about the arc now, because I assume you guys were reading along, if you're actually watching / listening to this review, what we know now kind of raises the question of what exactly the Oracle Fish was talking about. But, you know, yeah, so that's kind of how things get started there. Little tiny foreshadowing, I guess. I mean, it's like it doesn't really get touched on until like one more time, right before things get kind of crazy with the arc. But yeah, that's what they're starting to do. But then after that, we see Goku and Whis getting ready to spar, and then Goku goes straight into Master Ultra Instinct, you know, with like, you know, the silver hair and whatnot. But Goku ultimately loses, and here we get a little bit more lore and sort of like clarification on these abilities. Because Vegeta asks Beerus if Whis is using Ultra Instinct, and Beerus says that Whis is not technically, but he's always in a state of instinct. In fact, he says like he's always. Whis later says, "I'm always in a state of Ultra Instinct." But then Beerus here says he's always in a state of instinct, which I think is a little more of a more powerful way to describe it personally. And of course, Whis here, he also talks about how like Goku's, you know, mastery of Ultra Instinct is not really that powerful. And here they start to kind of touch on, they actually verbatim say this later on, right before the actual action of the arc gets started. But like what's basically going on is Whis clarifies to Goku that Ultra Instinct is more of a technique and less of a transformation. I kind of like the idea of it being a transformation, and they kind of work with it a little bit, because they make it sound like that the whole silver hair thing is more of Goku's manifestation of his version of Ultra Instinct in a way. And they talk about how he needs to kind of find his own instinct, and he also talks about how, like, you know, he's better at he was better at Ultra Instinct than Maris, and the Grand Priest or the Grand Maestro or whatever you want to call him, you know, the father of the angels, has an even stronger understanding and mastery of Ultra Instinct than Whis does. So they're treating it more kind of like, it's almost more like a martial art itself, like a martial arts style, versus it's almost like Goku's kind of learning a new style now that I think about it. That was something I just kind of thought of. Meanwhile, you know, Beerus is all like, "Don't you want to learn Ultra Instinct?" And Vegeta is all like, "No, I don't want to learn Ultra Instinct. These voices are not very distinct." But he's like, "I'm going to do it in my own way." And he's like, you know, I want to kind of surpass Goku in my own way. Ultra Instinct's not really my thing. And then Beerus is like, well, good for you, because the gods of destruction have their own version of Ultra Instinct. I can teach it to you. It involves destruction. He's like, "Oh, really? You can teach me?" He's like, "Yeah, dog." So, yeah. So both Goku and Vegeta are kind of taking their training to new heights. But like with Vegeta, he's starting to kind of learn how to do destruction energy, the whole Hakai thing. I don't really know how I feel about that. This is going to sound kind of strange. I don't know if anyone else is of the same mindset. I don't want Goku to be the new god of destruction or a new angel. I don't want Vegeta to be the new god of destruction or the new angel. I think it's cool that they're taking these learning these abilities, because I think it kind of just shows how powerful they are. I don't think they should become like, they shouldn't replace Beerus and Whis. And I think it's okay for characters to be all like, you might, you know, replace so and so, and then they can be like, "No, we don't want that." But I don't want them to, you know, gain that. So yeah, but that's basically what they're doing. Then of course we go back to you know, Granolah and them, and you know, they kind of show, before I kind of move on to Granolah leaving and going back into his ship, he does kind of skirmish with, not only with Oil and Gas, but also Maki as well. And I'm pretty sure Maki doesn't fight at all, besides this. But yeah, because Alex, I keep wanting to call him Alec, and it's like, no, this is Alec. Alec, the reason why he, you know, doesn't want Granolah to go after Frieza. Two reasons. The reason he says one, he says like, oh, Frieza's a lot stronger now. The other reason is like he doesn't want Granolah to, end up causing more problems. But then he's thinking like, well, maybe we can kill two birds with one stone. Talk to that Zuno guy, the guy that's like all big and fat. It's like, give me a kiss, answer your questions. So they go do that. Which is kind of funny because like they go over there and it's like, what? I have to give you a kiss? And Maki says that and it's like, yes, give me a kiss. And like she kisses him on the cheek and he's like, girls, are you my type? I'll answer 10 of your questions. Which somehow gets them information about the whole Moro stuff, which is, interesting. But yeah, back to Granolah. He ends up going to his, I call it the reinvented planet Cereal, which another race of aliens called the Shugurians, as in sugar. They've taken over because they talk about how like, planet Cereal, like the Saiyans destroyed it. And the Heaters came in and sold the planet to the Shugurians because they had lost their world and they were looking to relocate. And so I actually kind of like that the Heaters are sort of part of the lore and whatnot. And I do kind of like how large Frieza's, connections are with the world. I do find that kind of interesting, and especially since he's back, it'd be kind of interesting to sort of see sort of where things go. So Granolah has gone home now, and he's got his groceries, and he's going to go meet his buddy, who I'll tell you about later. Goku and Vegeta are training with Beerus and Whis. And then the Heaters are planning this big scheme because, Frieza's really strong. They say Granola's getting stronger, too. And that's actually one thing another thing I like about this arc, which you guys will probably see as we go through. I actually really like how the Heaters try to do like this kill three birds with one stone thing with what they learn. Because what they're trying to do, Maki and Oil come back from Zuno, and they also apparently get footage from the Moro stuff, and that's where they learn about the Dragon Balls. And they learn about, it's either from the Moro footage that they look at or Zuno himself that they learn about Goku and Vegeta, and they're being two Saiyans who are survived. And Ellic's all like, okay, let's have a little fun. Let's kill all three of these guys. Let's send Granolah off to this planet and tell him that these people are going to be here, that they're these Frieza soldiers who are Saiyans over there. Let's have Goku and Vegeta go to the same planet saying there's this ruffian guy causing trouble, and then let's have Frieza. Either they have Frieza come in too, or he just happens to show up, because I remember like when Frieza actually, there's some concern in Ellic's face when things happen, I guess I'll say. But basically, he's planning like this giant, like, let's all come together and you're all going to die thing. And I found that kind of interesting. So that's kind of ultimately the plan they're thinking of. And Granolah, he goes back to his house, and he's living with this old Namekian guy named Mona Ito, who also happened to have created Dragon Balls, 2 tiny Dragon Balls, and not only that they're tiny, there's also only 2 of them. Which I found interesting because I kind of find it interesting how now we're playing with the lore. Because, the regular Dragon Balls, they were, glass balls size. Namekian Dragon Balls, they were huge. Super Dragon Balls, they were basically the size of planets. And now we got these tiny ones. But not only that, they're also super, super, like there's only 2 of them. Stumbling over my words. The power of these Dragon Balls is a little obscure at the moment. Like it's a little hard to tell kind of how much power they have over the other ones. I think they're going to be about the same as the Earth Dragon Balls, I assume. But Granolah's he's thinking about like, well, maybe I can find the Dragon Balls and, wish strong and Granolah, and Mona Ito's all like, no, you shouldn't be using the Dragon Balls for revenge, dog. He's like, yeah, I know. We don't even know where the other one is. Because Mona Ito has one of the Dragon Balls, like in his study or whatever, just in his house, like it's a little display piece. And he's like, I'm just going to go to bed. And like, so he like stays up and watches TV, and he sees on the news that someone actually found the other Dragon Ball. And he's saying, oh shit, here's my chance. So he goes off, finds the other Dragon Ball, takes Mona Ito's Dragon Ball, goes into like this little wood place and summons the dragon. I don't remember what the dragon's name is, but he almost looks like a slimmer version of the Super Dragon, slightly. And he's all like, can you make me stronger, dog? And the dragon is all like, nah, not really. Oh, well, wait a minute. I can make you the strongest in the universe, but there's one condition. Do you agree to it? Yeah, dog, I agree to it. So Granola's kind of on his way to becoming the strongest in the universe under some condition that we don't know yet. Whereas this is something, again, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because this part's a little more fresh in my brain because I looked back to make sure my notes on the beginning were, had the right information. Because I had to actually write in some extra stuff. We're not even at the thorough part yet, which is, something. But Vegeta and Beerus, they're training. Beerus is mainly showing Vegeta how to do destruction energy, whereas Goku and Whis, they're focusing more on like meditation and calming energy and stuff, and learning how to kind of act and let your body sort of like just do its thing without putting too much thought into it. So they're doing that. But with Vegeta and Beerus, based on the Moro arc, we already kind of have Vegeta being sort of remorseful of his sins in a way. Here he honestly kind of sounds like, oh, well, the Saiyans were destined to kind of, perish because, we did a lot of damage and stuff. And Beerus kind of gets mad at him. He's trying to teach him a lesson, but he does kind of get mad because he's like, oh, you don't be so self-centered to like take on all this sin on yourself. Oh, hey, tell you what, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I was the one who told Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta. Like, what? And then Vegeta gets pissed and goes Super Saiyan Blue, fights Beerus and stuff, and Beerus kind of beats him up and stuff, and uses like sort of like a smaller version of Hakai, which basically just damages his armor and stuff. And it's all like, I'm always got destruction on my mind. Like the way they say it in the manga or in the actual script, it's like I'm always in like the state of destruction or something. Where it's like they're doing that obviously to be kind of vague here because of what Vegeta ends up doing later on. But the way I kind of take it is like more like he's got destruction on the mind. Of course, he's always something, which we'll get to that later on. But so both Goku and Vegeta are kind of furthering their training a little bit. Like Vegeta keeps like destroying like little rocks doing Hakai energy and like just making them explode and stuff. And there's like a little scene where like Beerus is like drinking a soda, throwing like wooden logs at Vegeta, who's like at the bottom of a waterfall. And he's like cha 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 Hakai 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 Hakai. And then Beerus gets mad when he like destroys the whole friggin' waterfall. Whereas Goku's just meditating on Whis' pole or whatever. That's not a euphemism. But yeah, so they're kind of going back and forth between all these different characters. But to get back onto my point, I don't really like that Beerus went ahead and told Vegeta that it was his idea for Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta. Well, mainly I've never really been a big fan of that. Especially now that they kind of go back and forth. It's like, oh, well, Beerus told Frieza to destroy the Planet Vegeta. Well, also it's because he heard about the Super Saiyan God. So now they might be kind of doing one of those. It's sort of like the thing where like, well, the Cybermen killed Yamcha. Nappa planted the Cybermen juice. Vegeta and Nappa are working together. Therefore, Vegeta killed Yamcha. Kind of that thing. So maybe they might be kind of doing one of those things to where it's like, Beerus told Frieza about the Super Saiyan God, scared the shit out of Frieza. Frieza decided, I'm going to destroy the fucking planet Vegeta. Therefore, Beerus, at the very least, had a hand in destroying Planet Vegeta. So maybe it's like that. And I remember people on YouTube were talking about how like they think that eventually Beerus is going to mention that like he destroyed, or mention to Vegeta, or even Goku. Even though in Goku's case, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. that he was the one who gave Frieza the idea or whatever. I don't really know what that's going to accomplish besides giving Vegeta and Goku a reason to not like Beerus anymore and want to kill them. It's like, I feel like at this point, Beerus, he's not necessarily a good guy, but I don't know if I'd consider him a bad guy anymore at this point. Like, he's kind of part of the crew. I was actually thinking about this while I was kind of waiting for my stuff that I was doing before I was recording, because I was trying to move some files onto an external hard drive for later. I was thinking about this earlier as far as end of Z era stuff goes, because as you guys might know, Dragon Ball Super takes place technically before Oob and all that. Even though we're apparently getting closer to that section, I think it would probably be best if they just have Beerus yawn and be like, "I'm going back to sleep. I'm not going to be in the story anymore." Then we go into end of Z. Like, I think it's better. Don't kill off Beerus, but maybe have him take a nap or something. Then maybe he comes back at Super Dragon Ball Super the End or whatever, where Goku's 73 years old and he's all like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going?" It's like, I don't know. But I don't know how I feel about. I don't know if it's really. I mean, it was clearly to a point, and it was supposed to kind of rile up Vegeta, but I don't know if it's really. I don't know. I don't think it's really that important that Goku and Vegeta know who told Frieza to blow the place up, especially since Frieza's alive now. So it's like, okay, well, the person that they associate all this pain with is over there. So naturally their anger is going to go to that thing, I feel like it's going to be kind of hard to be mad at. I think most people would be more angry at the person who actually did the deed versus the person who told them to do the deed. And that's all I'll say on that. Because I don't want to get too philosophical in Dragon Ball, even though, it's my favorite thing. So obviously I got to overanalyze it. But yeah, so that's kind of what they're doing. But we go back to Granolah. He's now got Super Saiyan 3-esque hair, even though it's his regular hair, and he still has his eyebrows. And he goes. It's either he goes back home and he cleans himself up and cuts his hair and shit. I think he does do that. He actually goes back to his regular hairstyle, but he shows off his moves, and he low key does a Hakai thing where he lifts a boulder and crushes it with just his energy. So he's strong now. He's super strong now, but he cleans himself up, cuts his hair, maybe even shaves his face, and puts on deodorant or whatever. He doesn't literally do that, but you know what I mean. And then he goes back to the heaters and he's all like, "Y'all, I'm strong enough to fight Frieza now. Tell me where he is." And they're all like, "Well, wait a minute. You were here literally yesterday saying you want to try and fight Frieza. Now you're telling us you're somehow stronger. You're dumb." It's let me prove it. Okay, prove it. And Granolah is able to kind of take down Maki and Oil pretty handily. Beforehand, I think I recall him being sort of slightly on par with Oil. I think he was just fighting Oil. In fact, I might have misspoke. I think he was just fighting Oil, maybe even Gas. But it isn't until he's about to fight Gas, which would be the more even fight, even still, where Ellic's like, "Okay, I think I've seen enough. Yeah, you're clearly stronger. How the hell did you do it?" "Oh, I use the Dragon Balls." "Oh, okay. But there's a catch. The condition that the dragon gave Granolah was that he had to basically forfeit all of his extra years of living to become stronger. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was in the hundreds. Granolah was going to live for a very long time, and he gave all but 3 of his years left to become the strongest in the universe. So it is sort of power leveling a little bit now that I think about it, but it kind of puts into perspective just kind of how powerful he's actually become now. Because I feel like if it's all I have 15 years left and I brought it down to 3, well, that makes it kind of sound like that he's not really that much stronger. Yeah, so that's sort of the big twist with the Dragon Balls here, is that he actually literally became the strongest in the universe, but he doesn't have that much long to live anymore. He's got 3 years. So he has to take care of this stuff now before he ends up dying. And as I was reading back this section, I'm like, okay, things are starting to kind of click a little bit there, buddy. And then Alec's like, okay, well, we don't really know where Frieza is, but we'll contact you when we find out. Okay, let me know soon, dog. Okay, bye. And this is where he starts to kind of decide to do his scheme to like send everyone to like this one planet. So like he later on tells Granolah that like, hey, Frieza's people are going to be over here. Then Frieza will come in later. And then he has Maki and Oil go to Earth. And it's funny because like first they go to Chi-Chi and ask about Goku. Then they go to Capsule Corporation and talk to Bulma, who then talks to Whis with her little communicator thing. He's like, hey, there's these guys looking for Goku and Vegeta. And it's like, okay, dog, what's up? And they go back home. And in between one of these like one of the ending of the chapters, I think it's like right as they leave, they show the Oracle Fish struggling to sleep again and be like, oh, the strongest warrior in the universe is coming. Again, who that's actually referring to is a little unclear, or rather, now it's a little more vague. Because you would think it's Granolah, but I guess you could technically say it's 3 different people. Maybe even 4, depending on how you want. You know? You can make a case for like 5 people. But anyway. So Goku and Vegeta, they go up to meet Maki and Oil, and they're all like, hey, there's this guy causing a lot of trouble on this other planet. Can you guys take care of it for us? Because we heard about Shiz from Moro and all that. It's like, yeah, dog, let's go fight strong guys. Because, Goku, he always wants to fight strong guys. And Goku and Vegeta, they end up going on their ship. And I kind of like how perceptive, like Vegeta keeps talking about how sketchy this is. And like Maki's trying to kind of keep it straight and be like, no, we have good intentions. I kind of like Vegeta being kind of intelligent like this, being sort of like the strategist. Yeah, they the whole plan here with Alec is being like, okay, have Goku and Vegeta meet Granolah here, have Granolah meet them here, and of course they all go to Planet Cereal, or they go to a place near Planet Cereal, I think. I'm pretty sure it's because there's a part later on that Vegeta does that where things go down, but yeah, Goku and Vegeta, they get there and they start looking for Granolah, who is shooting these like trying to snipe them, and of course they're trying to dodge them and trying to get to the energy. There's a part here where Goku kind of tries to like close his eyes and like do the whole flowing thing. He ends up kind of going back to doing just like regular stuff, but he tries to do like some little stuffs to dodge, and they get to him and they have like a little standoff, and here Goku's the first one to fight. He fights Granolah first, which that's kind of interesting because usually Goku's sort of like the follow-up character, or he has been. Whereas here, no, he's the one to kind of start the fisticuffs. And he ends up doing Ultra Instinct, sort of like the Sign version, which is sort of like the one that he can kind of do the most effectively. And I'm pretty sure he even does Master Ultra Instinct. And of course, I think he goes through like Super Saiyan and like Blue and God and all that, I'm pretty sure. But he ultimately gets defeated by Granolah, who does like, pressure point stuff. Which Goku, because he still hasn't mastered Ultra Instinct yet, he didn't have like the ability to really dodge it effectively. But that's okay because we got Vegeta. And Goku's still alive, obviously. And now here's where things get really cool. Now Vegeta fights next, and while Goku's fighting Granolah, Vegeta's kind of just standing around. He kind of like goes off and sort of like looks around the ruins of Planet Cereal because the Shigurians, they built their civilization kind of further off from where the Ceruleans had theirs. So there's ruins left over, and like Vegeta kind of just like looks at everything, and he kind of talks about sort of like, revenge and hatred and all that, which is kind of funny considering, he's the prince of the king, so. But of course, the whole, the blame game, And then so they fight. And it's kind of an even fight at first, but then Vegeta does something really friggin' cool. I probably should quickly note, Goku gets the Whis symbol on his gi. Vegeta ends up getting like one of the earrings, that Beerus has, like the little square kind of like around the lobe earrings. I don't know if that really makes a difference, but basically he powers up to this new epic form where his hair kind of gets a little spikier. He gets a little more swole and he loses his eyebrows. And the hair turns purple, I believe. And he has this cool line where it's like, power based on instinct alone is unbounded. It's like, or unfounded or something. But yeah, Vegeta has basically achieved sort of this new form. And he's like, I'm all ego. In fact, you can call this Ultra Ego. Yeah, Vegeta has basically gotten his version of Ultra Instinct. Here, they're calling it Ultra Ego. Obviously, when the dub comes out of the anime, assuming they adaptate this, they'll probably call it, because, Autonomous Ultra Instinct. I could see them calling it either Tenacious Ultra Ego or Ferocious Ultra Ego. I think Tenacious probably works a little bit better. But, Vegeta starts wrecking Granola's shit. And, Granola's hitting him and stuff, but all it's really doing is just, making Vegeta more, bloodthirsty. He's like, nothing gets my blood more boiled than an awesome epic fight. The more we fight, the more powerful I become. It's kind of sort of going back to the whole, saying thing of they get stronger every time they get close to death. Whereas here, it's more like, no, he gets stronger the more he fights. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's pretty baller, man. But, of course, Granolah ends up kind of finding some way to get the upper hand. I think it's primarily, from what I remember, Vegeta more getting kind of worn out because he's taking a lot of hits. There's this one panel where Granolah just literally punches him straight in the friggin' third eye, I guess you could call it. I was gonna say the central corplex, but that's the chest area. But it gets punched right in the front area of his head and stuff so he's getting kind of winded because it's one of those things to where I guess you could say his lesson here, where with Goku's lesson of learning how to kind of maximize his offense as well as sort of flow and let his body kind of react naturally without thinking too much. Vegeta's maybe thought process here is maybe to learn to keep planning a little more and sort of not overestimate himself because in this state he will keep fighting until things go cray. But obviously Goku gets back up and they fight some more. And Goku, he's able to kind of shift his vitals out of the way because, the typical Goku affair. You could say this is maybe sort of them doing sort of a similar thing to the Hit fight where Vegeta fights first against Hit and then Goku fights him and kind of learns a little bit. And here he goes straight to, I think, Super Saiyan Blue. He doesn't even waste too much time with Ultra Instinct because he's trying to kind of figure himself out. And then Vegeta, he comes in and he does Ultra Ego again, but he takes the fight closer to Granola's home city and kind of does low-key mind games with them and showing them that if he kills Goku and Vegeta, then he's not really any different than the Saiyans that killed his tribe. And of course, Granola's like, I got new resolve, and he charges a big blast to try to kill Vegeta. And Vegeta, he's prepared to kind of, take in the hit because he's pretty tired and stuff. And Goku tries to intervene, but he notices one of Granola's ships with the Namekian on there, named Monaito, because it turns out he followed. And he's able to stop Granolah, and Goku ends up tackling him or something. And now this is where the notes get really friggin' thorough, because stuff gets a little interesting. Here, I think it's... Yeah, because Granolah gets knocked out. And then I think it's Monaito takes Goku and Vegeta somewhere. Or no. Yes, no. No, this is... There's a short break in between one of the fights. But one of the big twists of this arc is that Monaito reveals that a Saiyan actually saved them. Because, obviously, Granolah was able to survive the onslaught from the Saiyans. And Monaito has known him since he was a wee lad, so... And by wee lad, he's like a literal child. His mother's dead, Granola's. But it turns out that Saiyan was named Bardock. Yep, Goku's dad actually technically saved Granolah and Monaito and tried to save the mom too. But the next chapter is 40 years ago. And the Namekians and the Ceruleans are basically living together, but then suddenly the Saiyans attack and they wreak havoc and they kill a bunch of people. And the head Namekian, he passes away and he gives Monoito the Dragon Balls and tells him, basically what to do. One of the Ceruleans blows up the moon, but it doesn't really help. I think because of like the whole, burst open and mix thing. I'd have to look back at the chapter to really figure. Oh, no. They don't transform again. I'm pretty sure they don't transform again because in the Saiyans, it's like they just beat everyone up because they're not really. I don't recall the Ceruleans being real capable fighters, I think. I'd have to look back at the chapter. But basically, the Saiyans still kick their butts. And Bardock, he ends up kind of capturing baby Granolah and his mom. The mom tries to shoot a bee at him, but he dodges it. And it reminds him of the time that Goku's mom, Gine, grilled him for missing Goku's birthday. They show a little scene where Bardock gives Goku the Saiyan name Kakarot. So, and this was also kind of good because with Dragon Ball Minus and Super Broly, I think a lot of people were getting a little concerned with Bardock's portrayal. Whereas here, it sounds like he's not like just a complete asshole like he was in the Bardock movie, but like he still kind of has sort of like that not really caring about things much kind of thing. I still think his design is a lot cooler than his design from Minus in the movie. I like the bandana and sort of like, the little leather cuffs he's got on his arms or whatever. The Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC with Bardock's going to be pretty fun. But another Saiyan named Leek, he finds Bardock and he tells him they were given orders to leave. And Bardock says, to go on without him because he's looking for survivors. And Leek is all like, okay, I'll go, but Frieza is going to be coming pretty soon, so you might want to hurry. And then so Bardock, he senses Monoito, who's like trying to fly away and use the Dragon Balls, and so he catches up to him and he brings Granolah and his mom. And then Bardock, he warns the people like Granolah, Mrs. Granolah, and Monoito that Frieza is going to come and just keep a low profile. And then Monoito's is like, well, what's your ploy here, Bardock-san? And then Bardock-kun is all like, I just feel like it. Like he's literally just like, I just feel like it. I don't know. I just feel like being nice today. Which is like, this is kind of good too because it's sort of establishing that it's sort of kind of respecting both versions of Bardock. I think in a weird way of kind of mixing them together. In my opinion, I think there are a lot of people who still don't really like Bardock's new portrayal here, but that's just my opinion. And he leaves and, he says his name when it's like Monoito's all like, what's your name, dog? He's like, my name's Bardock. So that's kind of how Granola's life was saved by a Saiyan. They go back to the present for a little bit and like, Monoito's all like, hey, wait a minute. Goku guy, you look like Bardock-san. And he asks him about it, and like Goku says, I don't really know about my Saiyan parents. And Vegeta somehow knows. Like, oh yeah, Bardock was your father. I don't know if that's because he knew about Bardock back then, or he's just able to kind of put two and two together. I mean, again, Vegeta's pretty smart. But then, back into the past, 40 years ago, Bardock is getting ready to leave, but then Monoito heals him, and then the Heaters show up. And they talk about how they're, doing something. They're planning to betray Frieza after building up wealth from all these planet things that they're selling. Because they're actually working as the planet brokers, which, again, that's kind of cool how it's sort of adding in, like, lore on how Frieza is selling these planets. And it kind of makes sense, too, that Frieza would have, like, a bunch of people working for him. He's very much the kind of guy who would not get involved unless he absolutely had to. So that's kind of a nice little thingy here, I think. But here you can already see the inklings of them planning to like sort of start their own world, and it just kind of shows how Alec is sort of like, Alec is really, I think, kind of like the true bad guy here, and I kind of wish that he got more attention, but I don't want to spoil nothing. Well, let's just say he doesn't really get a chance to betray Frieza. You can read into that a little more if you want to, because I did technically just spoil something. But again, if you're listening to a review on an entire arc, you either are more than likely or you probably should have read the entire arc by now. Or maybe wait until the anime comes out, because this This will probably go up by the time the anime starts, I think, because I don't think I'll have this out before 2023, but we'll see. Because as I'm recording this, I'm still working on the Arise review, but I want to have this uploaded after the Arise review. But enough, inside YouTuber baseball. But yeah, so Bardock and Monaito are kind of watching from the shadows, and Granolah, he wakes up. And he sees Bardock's tail, and he starts, because he had like been knocked out and stuff, and cries that a Saiyan is here, like, oh my god. And then of course the Heaters notice, and Bardock cloaks himself using Monaito's cloak, and they try to hide, but the Heaters, they end up going to where the sound is, where Granolah and the mom are, and friggin' Alec shoots and kills Granolah's mom, while Bardock was trying to sort of escape. So yeah, that's how Granolah's mom dies. And he's using an energy thing to escape while Gas goes to try and kill them. Go back to the present, and the Heaters have one of the Dragon Balls, and they're going after the second. So I guess these Dragon Balls are the kind to where like you can use them as many times as you want, like they won't like go down. Because apparently they're on the either that or they're on another planet looking for Dragon Balls. I don't remember. But they get wind that Goku and Vegeta have stopped fighting Granolah, and so while Alec is going to do the Dragon Ball stuff, looking for the Dragon Balls, Gas and Maki get sent off to go check. Because they ended up leaving. Or the area. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone except for a specific key character that's going to show up later on, hint, hint, are all on this planet. So it's another one of those arcs where, unfortunately, this is kind of a sort of like the Goku and Vegeta show a little bit. I'll go ahead and say that. But this is also one of those arcs where they don't really leave the main area. Which I kind of like those arcs. The Goku Black stuff was kind of doing the same thing with them going back and forth from the future. So at least like they were kind of going in between two places. And of course the tournament arcs, obviously they're in one location. But I kind of like when these bad guy arcs are a little more self-contained. The only problem with that is that it makes them seem like a lot shorter than they actually are. That's actually kind of the reason why I like the Moro stuff. Because they started off on Namek, but then they went to Earth. And it got a lot larger. But unfortunately here with Granolah, it's really just Goku and Vegeta and one other character. So at least they got the favorites. But Granolah, he's shocked about this whole thing with the mom. And when Vegeta asks about if Bardock defeated Gas, Monaito's about to, but it goes dark again because Alec just summoned the dragon. So they make their wish. And then they the Heaters, they go to where Vegeta and Goku are, and they're all like, presenting Gas. And then Alec just pulls his pants down, just like, let's one rip. No. They show Gas, who is now stronger, because they use the Dragon Balls to make him the strongest in the universe. It's a little unclear on how many years Gas lost, because I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Like literally, like sacrifice the lives. I think they do show later on, kind of how much, but again, it's a little unclear on how much he actually lost. And you can maybe make the argument that because of what he does to himself, he's maybe forfeiting even more. But Gas attacks and he pierces Granolah with a pike thing, and Goku tries to step in, but is contained by some blocks or something in Gas. He recognizes Goku as Bardock's son, kind of further showing that him and Bardock have some sort of past with each other. They kissed. No, they fought. They didn't do any hanky panky stuff. Not unless fighting is sexual for a Saiyan, which it may very well be. But he asks him about it, which Vegeta, he ends up kind of explaining the whole Frieza thing, and Gas, he gets mad and he's gonna try and kill Goku, but Granolah, he pulls out the pike because he was saved by Monaito with the healing and stuff, White Mage and all that, kind of like Dende and whatnot. Uses his little sniper finger thing to stop Gas, who then beats up Granolah with the summon mace thing. And this is where we kind of learn, along with combat, that Gas's abilities to like summon weapons and stuff, energy weapons. That's kind of cool. I think that's a nice little touch. Monoito asks Goku to try and save Granolah, which of course he agrees, and he tries to heal Goku, but he can't. So Goku asks Vegeta about a spare senzu bean, which Vegeta admits that he had one in his armor, but he threw the armor away. He's like, oh shit. Typical sort of Dragon Ball, sort of like dumb reason affair. Yeah, because I think he takes the armor off, I think. And Gas explains that Elec saw value in hiring Granolah and thought it would be a waste to kill him outright. So he's trying to kind of torture him a little bit. And Goku's like, hey, Vegeta, why don't you just like go find your armor while I hold off Gas? And so they kind of fight. And then Vegeta, he finds the bean. And he's all like, well, here, I'm going to give it to you, Granolah. And he's like, eat this. Take your revenge on the heaters yourself. Because now it's gotten to a point to where it's like, well, really Granolah has kind of an issue with the heaters as well. So again, the heaters are kind of like the villains of this arc, and I actually kind of like that. As much as I'd love to have seen like an even more epic battle between Goku and Granolah, I do kind of also like that, we have an actual like legit bad guy here. So Granolah, he eats the senzu bean, he gets back to full health, and Oil's here as well, by the way. Again, the entire heaters are here. While Gas is like fighting Goku and stuff, and Maki and Oil and Elec are just doing their thing. He's able to stop Oil from trying to attack Monoito, and he gets Oatmeal back, his little goggle thing. And he powers up to some special sniper powers. So I guess the red eye thing was more like just... This is basically his like super form or whatever. I don't think there's like a color associated to it. It's probably just him like powering up or whatever. And he fights Gas, and they fight, and he's able to counter pretty much every strike Gas does. And Vegeta, he's mentioning that, Gas only recently acquired this power, so he's kind of getting used to it. Whereas Granolah, he's had some fighting experience now, so he's kind of had, because he fought Goku and Vegeta, so he has sort of more of a reason to sort of be good, or he has more experience with this newfound power, kind of like the whole Golden Frieza thing from back then. And Goku's wondering why Gas is using these, weapon summon things instead of like doing hand-to-hand combat. And Monoito mentions that he hasn't always had that ability. Maki tries to sort of be all like, it's not that he can't fight with this new thing, he just doesn't want to beat Granolah. He wants to kind of beat Granolah with like his own, power. Like she literally says he just doesn't want to. And then, Gas decides he wants to start using his actual strength and does some damage to Granolah. And Vegeta thinks it looks like, Destroyer God energy, which I think that's mainly just... It's literally just like, once someone's designated the strongest in the universe, it's pretty easy to sort of say, well, I want to be the strongest. Okay, here you go. Well, now you're stronger than that person, technically speaking. But I also do like that they're still kind of keeping into account actual skill with this story, because that's one, power levels and all that. But thankfully, this Dragon Ball is mostly okay at doing it, putting characters who aren't really like energy level as strong as others and have them win. You know what I mean? Like the whole Frost and Piccolo thing. Of course, since we're talking about the manga, that version of the fight was not as good. And I would even say that the anime version could have been better, but now that we've got Superhero and Tournament of Power and stuff, we could maybe argue that Piccolo is actually a fair amount stronger now. But yeah, Granolah, he gets up and he takes off his jacket thing and he keeps fighting. And Granolah, he's dodging Gas's moves and he hits him a few times. Sort of like they're kind of fighting each other. They're doing each other. They're fighting each other. Somehow, Gas is able to pick up Ultra Instinct, and apparently Granolah can kind of do it as well. But again, Gas, he's not really using it that well because he's kind of new to this, and Granolah, he's using it better. And Vegeta knows that it's clear that Granolah has learned from his fights from Goku and Vegeta. And Granolah and Gas, they keep fighting, but Gas is slowly starting to learn how to counter Granolah better. And he uses like a little clone thing to try to defeat Gas, but Gas basically overpowers, because the whole, it splits your power when you, split yourself. And And he tries to do a big move. Gas is sent flying. Granola's all worn out. All the clones come back to him. Alec shows up and he yanks off Gas's circular thing, like the little. All the heaters have like these. I say all of them, but one thing that I find pretty interesting, because they all have like these little like, teeth necklaces. Maki has one. I'm pretty sure Oil has one, and then Gas has one that's like around his head. What this does is contain their power and rage. So like they take it off when Alec yanks off Gases, it makes him go crazy and powerful. I do want to note we never actually see Alec with one. He has like this little like fluffy sort of like ascot thing in place of where it would be. And I'm wondering if maybe that's supposed to kind of do a thing to where like he's actually like I'm curious about. I feel like that's maybe sort of like I want to say that's sort of like a missed opportunity, but at the same time you can maybe make the argument that that's maybe Toriyama or Toyotaro, whoever's writing this. From what I've heard, apparently I was talking to a friend, and apparently Moro was primarily written by Toyotaro, and that Toriyama mainly did Granolah, and that kind of makes sense given the because I've noticed with Toriyama's writing with Dragon Ball these days, it seems like he's constantly trying to add more like meat to the lore and like stuff like that. Whereas whereas Toyotaro, it's kind of hard to say what his writing style is at the moment. I definitely think that with these two arcs, he's really gotten better. I feel like at first he wasn't really that great because he was kind of relying a little too much on exposition, on explanation of powers. The fight scenes were okay themselves, but like all this explanation of like, you see, so and so is using this ability because they know how to do this, and it's like, well, I want to see that. I don't need to be told that. I was actually I've been watching a lot of like these, could so and so beat other character. And I'm noticing a lot. I've realized that I don't really like it when stories use verbal comparisons to describe someone's power and using like like scientific numbers and all that. And you might be thinking like, well, Dragon Ball does the same thing. Well, like, yeah, but there's a difference between saying your foot power has reached 2.3 milliblibbles. That's 4 times larger than a normal flibblebibble user. And then Piccolo saying, "Oh wow, Vegeta's as strong as Gohan was when he fought Cell." I mean, like, it's like, okay, well, yeah, they're still comparing and kind of putting a slight number to it, but they're doing it in a lot smaller. And you can see in the combat too that Vegeta kind of was where he was, talking about the Majin Vegeta Fat Boo fight. And then also, since it's a martial arts story to begin with, a person's actual combat skill is going to come into play anyway, so that already kind of makes for a good fight. There's a reason why kung fu movies are really popular, because the choreography, staged or not, is still really cool. And the give and take is sort of like really fun to watch if done properly. But yeah, like that's one thing I kind of noticed a little bit, that Alec, his little bone necklace wasn't, at least, unless I'm just misremembering, and like he mentioned, like, oh well, mine's hiding or whatever, but like he doesn't really seem to have one. But yeah, so he yanks off, Gases, and Gas starts to go crazy and turns to like this big monster guy. And Maki, she talks about how like the three of them have this like nature ability where like these bone things are kind of holding them back, I guess. And Monaito notes that he thinks Gas did this when he fought Bardock, 40 years ago. So Gas attacks Granolah and starts beating him up. And Vegeta's like, well, how did Monaito defeat... Or he asks... Vegeta asks Monaito how Bardock defeated Gas in the first place. And he's like, well, I was knocked out. I didn't actually see it. And the chick and the fat guy, they try to calm Gas down, but he smacks them both out of the way, and then Gas starts smashing his head against the rock and goes after... Like, he's legit crazy. He goes after Vegeta. Goku steps in and tries to help, and when Gas sees Goku, he's triggered by a memory of Bardock. What looks like he's doing, like, the right javelin thing, where it's like... his little... it's like, my fate, Planet Vegeta's, it all ends here, thing. or we sell this here, thing. Like his cool move that he uses in all the games and stuff. And that kind of calms him down. He has sort of like an awakening where he kind of goes back to his he kind of gains his senses, but he keeps this form. Keeps the thorns and whatnot. So he's basically turned into like this like heightened version of himself. And Gas uses like a spell then to like weaken or like burden Goku and Vegeta. And Granolah, he attempts to attack Elec, but like Gas teleports him away, and he was about to like shoot with like he's gonna try and shoot Elec with some like sniper stuff, and then Gas comes in and breaks both his wrists and blasts him away against Elec, who then shoots him in the lower back with his gun. Again, Elec is not really a fighter. He just uses a little pisty-wisty gun. You could say he's maybe kind of like Frieza in that regard, except a little more sleazy and like doesn't really get his hands dirty as all. Because Frieza, at least had the, at least the natural fighting ability to back it up. I mean, of course, well, yeah. You've seen the memes, I'm sure. You already know what I'm referring to. And, from what I've seen of like the drafts of the next chapter, they already kind of show what's on Vegeta's mind at this point. So, things to think about. But yeah, I'm not going to say it until it actually comes up, but you know what I'm talking about. You definitely know what I'm talking about. And Goku, he's like, no, this shit's not working. I need to help, but like, can't move. And Vegeta gives him some energy to help him break free. And then, of course, Goku does Super Saiyan Blue, and he fights Gas, who's trying to control his anger so he can... Or Goku's trying to also... I need to learn how to read my notes better. Goku, he's trying to sort of like control his anger to do, Ultra Instinct, and he explains that anger messes with this ability. And then he tries to be able to ask Elec and Gas, be like, hey, can you guys just, leave the planet and like go home? And they're like, no. And because, you know our plans. And Gas tries to do like some spike wall stuff. And he tells Goku that he doesn't have the same kind of resolve and fire in his eyes like Bardock did. And Goku explains like, well, I lost my memories when I hit my head as a baby. And then, friggin' Gas tries to like drown Goku with like his little like, I say a bus. I think I had a typo there. I typed this in WordPad, and again, we're kind of at the point now where the notes are going to be kind of thorough, so you have to kind of explain, or you have to kind of bear with the major exposition. Because I literally went like scene to scene to scene to scene to scene. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't really think I know how to type anymore. But yeah, so they're kind of fighting and stuff, and like Goku uses like his own blast to try to make the place explode, and he flies out and stuff, and Gas then says that he now understands how they were able to recover so quickly. And because he sees Monaito healing Granolah, who's still alive. Gas tries to fly after him, but Goku grabs him, and he uses instant transmission to teleport him to somewhere else, specifically where Jocko is, on some other planet. And Goku's all like, I've been using I've been using instant transmission for years, and you haven't even mastered it. And they keep sort of like fighting each other, but they're like going from like planet to planet with instant transmission, and kind of duking it out that way. Going from planet to planet. Gas ends up getting crushed by a load on a garbage truck that apparently Monaka is driving, and Goku teases him about using it recklessly, and that he will wait while Gas cleans up, but Gas gets mad. He's like, no! And they teleport to the Galactic King's bathtub, to where they both give the Galactic King a blowjob. No. That'd be funny. Then they move to the prison where Saganbo is from, the last arc. Or they recognize Gas, and they know, like, oh, you used to be a little boy. And they kind of make fun of him. They literally tease him for peeing himself. He's like, shut up! Like, we'll help you, but Gas is like, no! And then Goku tries to talk to him about it, and, like, he just does what his brother says and suggests that he should make his own decisions. Gas says that he's fighting for Elec's sake, and Goku knows that his brother tried to kill him back in the day, talking about Raz. Like, well, my brother did it, and so Gas should be careful. And the other Heaters, they're trying to lock onto their positions, but, Elec's all like, they should just kill the people who are there, namely Granolah, Monaito, and probably Vegeta, even though Vegeta would probably be the one to sort of do shit. So they get ready to fight, but then Goku's getting tired from trying to play defense, so he uses instant transmission to get to a galactic patrol ship and then lock onto where Whis is so Goku and Gas can go there. Goku then leaves Gas with Whis and basically retraces his steps back to where everyone else is. Whis tells Gas what way the planet is. So it's like, hey, where's this other planet? Oh, it's over there. And so he literally starts flying towards them, but it's going to take a while because they're far away from where this planet is, or Gas is. But so basically Goku bought them some time, and Oatmeal already has Vegeta set up in like a little ship thing, and they fly off, and the Heaters decide to retreat as well. Whis calls Goku on a communicator saying that, because he sneaked one to go, he's saying that, like, Gas is on his way and he'll be there in 20 minutes. And he also asks Goku how the training's going. Goku says he's having a hard time keeping his heart calm, and that's how he can make his Ultra Instinct better. But Whis says that he needs to find his own version of it, and asks Goku the big question of who he is on the inside. Who are you? I'm Goku. I'm Son Goku. A Saiyan named Kakarot. Age whatever. I think he's like at this point maybe like in his... It's hard to say, like, he's definitely getting close to 40, I think, or 30 something. But I think what they're trying to do a thing where like Goku's a Saiyan, because like Monito addresses Goku as the son of Bardock and says that there's something that he needs to show them. And they get to his place, and they see an old scouter that was apparently Bardock's. And Vegeta messes with it and says that it's broken, but it has the audio saved from it, because, like the communication and whatnot. That's how Raditz was able to let Vegeta and Nappa know that, like, they can suppress their power levels and, like, rise it and lower it and stuff. And Monaito is all like, well, maybe we can use it to find a way to beat Gas if they learn how Bardock did it. Oatmeal is like, well, I can fix it. Somehow gets it working, even though they're a friggin' half goggle. And they play the audio, and Bardock talks about how he used a big blast to knock Gas down for a bit. They show this in an actual, like, legit flashback, I'm pretty sure. But they also from the actual context, Goku and all of them are kind of listening to it. And so, and anyway, Bardock, in this flashback is telling Granolah and Monaito to run away while he slows down Gas. And Goku gets a slight flashback to an image of Bardock and Gine when they sent him to Earth, because, the new lore, like, instead of Goku being like a baby when he got sent to Earth, he was apparently a toddler. Well, that's another thing I don't really like, because I don't really like Goku knowing or having any memory of his time on Planet Vegeta. I think it's fine that he respects his heritage and stuff and addresses himself as a Saiyan and all that and recognizes himself as a Saiyan, but I feel like at this point, is it really that important for Goku to have that kind of connection with his family, like his actual legit family? It's not like he's going to meet Bardock anytime soon. It'd be cool if he did, and he met his parents and was like, thanks, Mom and Dad, I'm happy now, or whatever. Because I know the whole thing where, like, they do the thing with Bardock and Gine apparently being like a rare breed of a Saiyan couple to where they actually loved each other instead of just, banging just for the sake of reproduction, And then they show Bardock in a flashback again doing what looks like a blast to kind of knock down, Gas, and they try to run off, but Gas gets up and he says he can't afford to disappoint Alec and all that. And at Monaito, he tells Bardock that he doesn't have to fight anymore, but Bardock's like, bruh, you crazy. And Guy's like, you could run away, but it won't matter because the Saiyans won't last too much longer, talking about the whole Frieza thing. And Bardock's like, what's that about? And Guy's like, nothing. I just played Tales Symphonia, so I learned about the it's nothing trope. No, I'm just kidding. I still would really love a Dragon Ball collaboration with Tales of the Rays, because I'm actually playing it now, in Japanese, because the English version, died. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I was able to at least get read, so that's good enough for me. But I would really, 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 really love to have a Dragon Ball. I really wish they'd put it on Switch or something. I feel like, for some of these gacha games that actually have, like, legit gameplay attached to it, they should maybe try and put it on Switch. That'd be dope. You have Gintama and Tiger and Bunny, so you've got two more. Tiger and Bunny probably isn't really shonen, but Gintama is definitely shonen. You got Star Ocean in there as well. It's like, Bruh. Let's make the magic happen, please. But, Gas is clearly talking about Frieza's plan, and Bardock and Gas, they duke it out. Bardock, tells Monito that he's in the way and that he and Granolah have to get out of here, and Gas uses some of his inner power to gain the upper hand on Bardock, while Monito gathers the 2 Dragon Balls to try to help Bardock out. And this is where it gets kind of weird, because Bardock, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but he wants Bardock to go back to Planet Vegeta, which the dragon then attempts to telepathically talk to, Bardock to be like, hey, this is our plan. And Bardock's like, nah, I would rather die than run from an enemy dog. And Monito tries to reason with him, but Bardock says, like, I'm not leaving until I beat Gas. And so Monito's like, well, is there another wish we can try and grant? And Bardock's all like, well, he's a little confused, but like, I guess I would wish for my sons to, thrive and, live a good life. Sorry, Raditz. And this is where, Dragon Ball minus aside, I actually kind of liked the idea that, like, Jocko actually could have shot down Goku's spaceship and killed him, but, like, because he, like, got distracted and, like, fell into a lake or whatever, that the ship went by. I actually really liked it. And that's all Toriyama, too. So, the connection to the Dragon Balls is kind of cute, I guess, but, like, I kind of like the Dragon Balls I like the Dragon Balls starting off being generally separated, besides the fact that Goku associates the 4-star ball with his grandfather. And then the Dragon Balls end up becoming more and more sort of like integrated into like the world, or into the lives of the characters, rather, is what I mean to say. And I'm speaking strictly off of the idea of, besides the name of the story and the fact that the story revolves around the Dragon Balls, that the characters don't really have much of a connection to them specifically. Whereas, they've used them over the years. And of course, if you talk about GT, then it goes into like, well, you overuse the Dragon Balls and now they're corrupted and now these dragons are coming to kill your ass. So, yeah, it's cute that Goku's entire existence is thanks to the Dragon Balls. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. At least it's a vague wish. And again, like, Raditz obviously didn't survive, unless there's going to be something where like, oh no, just kidding. I was alive the entire time and I went into hiding. You guys just didn't see me. Which, that's actually interesting. I just realized, well, maybe they could bring Raditz back that way. Well, if it turns out that Piccolo didn't actually kill him, just like made him like pass out with like his just energy thing, like, oh, and like, he just, whatever. I don't know. But... And so, Alec and his group, the other heaters, they see what looks like a big light and something flying off, so like, the dragons and stuff. And Alec goes to check it out while Bardock keeps, struggling with Gas. But Gas starts smashing Bardock around by swinging him around by his tail and stuff, and eventually he yanks the tail off. Why that's important, I don't know. But he throws a spear at Bardock, but Monito comes back and he gets hit by the spear, protecting Bardock. And Bardock's all like, hey, or he tells Bardock to do him a favor and try to win the fight. And Gas, he gets mad and he goes full on monster mode. It's like, and he knocks away Monito and starts choking out Bardock, but Bardock right javelins Gas to get him free. I always think it's kind of cool when the characters do like sort of like those unconventional ways of breaking free from like holds and stuff. I think that's always a nice thing. And he starts doing he looks like he's doing some sort of power up. I think I've heard some people say that this is like, oh, Bardock's tapping into Ultra Instinct. We don't need to keep like adding in stuff that like, oh, Goku was destined to be this. It runs in the family. And like, no, I like the idea of Goku being more of a culmination of all of his experience. Because Dragon Ball at this point, it's not like one of those stories that like keeps getting rebooted and like they keep kind of going through generally the same motions, but they're telling like slightly new stories with it. Like at this point, these characters have been around for a very long time and we've grown with them. So at this point, kind of altering the lore like that, I don't think is really a good idea in the grand scheme of things, unless it's actually going to add to the characters in a positive way, instead of trying to make it sound like, oh, it's all destiny or whatever. Because that's part of the reason why Vegeta is my favorite character. It's because seeing him now having all his character growth. Same with Piccolo, same with Tien, same with all these other characters, seeing them, how much they've grown, how much they've learned from their experiences. I remember in the Resurrection arc of Super, the anime, Master Roshi's all like, well, you have experience fighting these guys, Krillin, you shouldn't be scared. Then, he's able to kind of do stuff. And, even just the idea of Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego, Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, and other stuff that's going to come later on. Probably in the future, because I don't know, maybe they'll give Goten and Trunks in the new arc a cool power-up or something. It just kind of shows sort of how far these characters have come. And so to kind of sort of like, to be like, well, no, actually, it was supposed to be that way. They didn't actually earn all that. Like, it's kind of, I don't want to say spitting in the face of the story, but I don't really, I guess I'll say I don't really like that direction. Of course, that thing could change, in the future. Maybe, I don't know, the anime version will actually kind of tighten up some of the stuff. That's one thing I'm kind of interested in, this hypothetical anime version of Super, because now it's going to be kind of going back to being an adaptation of the manga, I assume. It's not going to be like, how it was before, to where like, two different stories are being told at the same time, but the same person was giving both people like just general drafts and like, hey, fill in the gaps yourself. So, in this situation, one came before it and the other one can maybe improve on it, possibly. We will see. But anyway, to get back on track, Bardock defeats Gas using whatever ability he just obtained. I don't know, maybe he got all beefed up. Maybe he got like, maybe he tapped into the Broly thing with the Ozaru form. No, not really. I don't think. He just got like a little beefed up. But yeah, Bardock is really pounding Gas. His aim is real good. Don't take that out of context. And he's, talking about how like, he really only, fights, to win and defeat his opponent. But then Elec shows up and Bardock does one big blast, final blast, probably a super, riot javelin or whatever, and defeats Gas, and he's like collapsed on the ground all weak and stuff. And Elec talks to him and talks about Frieza's plan, low-key, because he's like, don't be surprised if a meteor falls on your head, kind of trying to imply on Bardock about the whole thing with Frieza. I don't know if that's intended to be sort of like explaining why Bardock has like this superstition about Frieza, because obviously in the old Bardock movie, he learns how to see the future, and that's how he learns about Frieza blowing up the planet. Whereas here, and the Dragon Ball Minus canon with Super Broly and all that, he's got like some Frieza's up to something, kind of thing. Because what ends up happening is like all the Saiyans get gathered into this one place and then like, blow up planet. They almost, kind of the way they describe it, you can maybe make the point that there are actually other Saiyans in Universe 7 kind of living around besides Broly and Paragus. That actually would be kind of interesting, I think, if they want to touch on that. That maybe there are other Saiyan survivors kind of lingering because, they either ignored the call because they couldn't, or they refused the call because they couldn't come, or like they didn't get there in time, and then they see like, oh shit, this place isn't here, well I guess we better go home, or I don't know, I just thought of that just now. I don't know. But anyway, then Elec then shoots his little gunny gun at like a little cliff that Bardock's standing on. He ends up like kind of falling down and stuff, and gets a call from Maki that Frieza's ship is coming, and then Elec, he ends up shooting down a couple more times in the hopes to kill Bardock, and he goes off. But turns out they both obviously survived, because obviously Bardock has to survive, and of course Monito has to survive because he's still in the story. And Goku, he's still kind of been thinking about that flashback and stuff. And Monito says that Bardock left right after their fight. And they show Goku being a baby when he gets shipped off to Earth. And Goku says he finally understands what Saiyan pride is, and he hadn't had faith in his power. And Vegeta's he echoes him and says like he's fighting not for the Saiyan sins, but for Saiyan pride. Typical Vegeta affair with pride. And he also kind of gets mad that apparently Goku and Vegeta survived because of the Dragon Balls, and calls him spoiled. And I'm all like, Goku's like, well, you spoil Bola, your daughter, real good. It's kind of, that's almost sort of like Vegeta trying to act as the voice of the audience, being like, well, you guys just only, but also maybe to sort of, both to be the voice of the audience to kind of, circumvent complaining like I just did, but also to sort of clarify that, yes, it was the Dragon Balls. I think that's maybe the reason why they did that, because like, that wish is kind of vague a little bit. But And Monito, he kind of joins in. He's talking about like that revenge is not about, or pride is not about revenge or even really atoning for sins or whatever, but it's sticking to your nature and all that good shit. So he heals Goku and Vegeta. There's a little section where he gives them Saiyan armor, and like they're like, "Hey, can we have our regular clothes back?" And so they do that. They get their clothes back, and then I wonder if that's maybe just like page filler. If they were trying to hit like a certain page count. But Gas shows up and he's ready to fight again. Goku and Vegeta, they come out and they do their little, I want to win. No, like, let me go. Like, well, I'll go. But then they both power up to Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, and they're huge. Their power is huge, huge, huge. And they fight and they start to get the upper hand on Gas, but he's able to keep up. And Vegeta, he tries, a Destroyer God-esque move that's similar to Beerus' Energy Blast. And Goku, he instant transmissions out of the way. And Gas tries to push it back, but Goku comes in and helps Vegeta push. And Gas is still pushing back, so Vegeta tries to jump ahead and strike him, but Gas knocks Vegeta down. Right as he's about to blast Vegeta, Goku tries to help, but Vegeta is able to hit Gas and talks about how he's just getting stronger.
I'm just getting stronger, dog. My power is maximum.
He doesn't literally say that, but just this whole thing with Ultra Ego, how like he gets stronger the more like he keeps getting battered and stuff. But Vegeta ends up taunting Gas and saying that he'll just get stronger each time Gas hits him, which he keeps doing. And Vegeta, he gets beaten up, but he always like counters back. And Gas tries doing instant transmission on Vegeta to beat him up some more. And Goku tries to step in, but Vegeta's like, "No, don't interfere. I can feel I can feel my Ultra Ego evolving." And he ends up taunting Goku low-key that his, Ultra Instinct is about the same. Not the same as his Ultra Ego, but like sort of like, not, it's about the same power as it normally is. While Vegeta fights Gas, Goku steps back and goes back to base form. And he starts to kind of meditate and stuff and to sort of build his own Ultra Instinct. And Vegeta, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. Vegeta ends up burning himself out and getting tired from Gas's damage. Who tries to stab him with the sword, but Goku ends up making a barrier around him while he meditates. And Goku, flies down, and transforms into what looks like the Saiyan version of Ultra Instinct. But there's something a little different about, like, the sculpt of Goku's face seems to be a bit different. And I think the shading on his hair is a little, like, it legit looks different. And I'm wondering kind of what this new form is supposed to look like. Goku talks about how in this form he can put his emotions to work in contrast to Ultra Instinct where he has to be calm and stuff. I think when I was reading this, I was starting to wonder if this was maybe him tapping into Ultra Ego as well. I think this is mainly just his version of Ultra Instinct, and that he's, like I said earlier, he's putting his emotions to work. He's taking use of it. But Gas ends up seeing a vision of Bardock and Goku's fighting stance and expression. He gets mad and he yells for Goku not to look at him that way, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna," tries to beat him up, just demolish his anus figuratively. That's what I say in the notes. Goku says that he doesn't really have much time, clearly talking about how this is literally like he's kind of pulling sort of like a granola into Gas, and a little bit like he's not really used to this power. Now granted, because he's a seasoned fighter, he knows to sort of like try to hone it a little bit and try to get things done, quickly. But so Goku's trying to get this stuff done fast and try and defeat Gas. Vegeta wakes up and he thinks it's absurd that this is supposed to be Ultra Instinct. Goku does a big kick on Gas and he sends him flying, and the Heaters are worried that he might lose, but Alex all like, he's gone somewhere else. Turns out he went down to try and choke out Gas while yelling at him about losing to Goku and remind him that to try hard so that they can defeat Frieza because he is a butthole. And Goku steps in, he's like, "Bro, you need to chill. That's not being nice." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" He's like, "There won't be another time for Gas." This is where Alex starts to be a little more panicky. I think it's a mix of two things. One, it's pretty clear that like they sacrificed even more of Gas's life to try to make him stronger than Granolah, and also a certain someone might be on his way. And Gas powers up to an even more monstrous form, and Ugg's all like, yeah, you see what I mean, dog? And that's literally how that chapter ends. Yeah, if you couldn't tell at this point, I'm at sort of the point where like I'm literally summarizing each chapter. And some of them got pretty long. I got to a point where I was literally I'm maybe giving a little too many unnecessary details, like talking about how each character fights. So I apologize for that. But again, I'm trying to, give out as much accurate information as I can to the story. So yeah, Gas is in his new form, and he uses telekinesis to try and choke out Goku. Ends up using instant. I keep wanting to say Ultra Instinct when in my notes I have IT for instant transmission, and I've got UI obviously for Ultra Instinct, then UE for Ultra Ego. But for some reason I'm seeing that and I'm like Ultra Instinct. Like I think just because Ultra Instinct is sort of like the hot business right now. But yeah, Goku uses instant transmission to try to teleport behind him, but Gas strikes Goku either way and is able to get behind him and say he's never felt better. And he's beating up Goku, and Mog says that there's something off about Gas, and everyone knows how he looks a little older and wrinkly. And Alex says that he's a lot stronger. Again, Gas sacrificed a lot more time and a lot more of his years than Granolah did. So he's literally aging. They don't outright say this right now, but that's basically what's going on. And he's a lot stronger too, obviously, as he's beating everyone up. I don't know why I'm even including that when that's in the notes. But yeah, so Goku and Gas, they're about to collide, but then Granolah, he comes in, he shoots an energy blast in between them, and he rushes in and tries to sort of like knock Goku off. But when they land, he says that he dreamed and heard Bog's voice and asks Goku if he's willing to wager everyone on Granolah's strength. On his strength, and Goku's like, okay, yeah. And he says he's going to distract Gas, while Granolah powers up to do a big blast. He's going to do his own special beam cannon and shit. Something like that. But then Goku and Gas, they keep fighting, and Goku keeps getting more hits on him. And Gas is doing like a volley of energy blast and seemingly knocks Goku out and is about to shoot Granolah. But then Vegeta comes in and headbutts Gas. And the other heaters, they're trying to come in, but Monito puts them to sleep or whatever, doing some like spell. And Granolah is like charged up enough energy, and Gas pushes Vegeta off and charges at Granolah. Meanwhile, Goku, he does Master Ultra Instinct. He does this fucking Susanoo like spirit energy, Godzilla thing that he did back during the Moro arc, and he grabs Gas, and then he throws Gas up into space, and Oatmeal helps Granolah to aim his blast properly, and Granolah fires this freaking like sniper thing, little 2-finger gun move. It's kind of cool because the way he does it kind of almost looks like he's doing like a bow and arrow thing, so I think that's actually kind of a nice little aesthetic, because I keep saying sniper, but the way he does it, he has like these, I'm pretty sure it's like he's got 2 fingers extended, and like he kind of has them like sort of out like an arrow. Or that's how he usually does. I don't think that's how he's doing it in this form. He might be using both his hands as something. I don't. But you know what I mean. Aesthetically, I like Granolah is what I'm trying to say. But Granolah then fires and he hits Gas real good, and he comes down out cold, flying down. And Granolah says he isn't out for revenge anymore. Period. So he decided not to kill Gas, but he wants the heaters to go, and they're like, okay. We'll go. We've clearly lost here. And he apologizes to Goku and Vegeta for all the shit they've done. So, seems like the battle's been won at this point. Which, again, I actually really like the heaters. Particularly Elec. I think Elec's pretty interesting with sort of how he handles, how he's handled things, and how he's sort of like the, backstabbing businessman type. I was really interested to kind of see where he was going to go. And again, I like sort of like this plot device of let's get all of our enemies into one spot and have them kill each other kind of thing. But Goku talks about how their training was enough in the end, and Vegeta feels ashamed at how the fight went, and he says that he will hone his skills and try to become better than Goku as usual. But then Granolah, he collapses, and then he said the Aztec used a lot of, his life energy, like his legit life energy. And that's where he talks about how he, exchanged his years to live for strength, revealing it to everyone else. They kind of make it sound like the energy he was using was more than just chi, but that's neither here or there, I guess. And Monaito tries to go up to heal him, but he stops. And, he gets shocked by something, and Granola's like, well, what's wrong? And Monaito's all like,
It's nothing. I just played Tales of Vesperia.
no. That would be kind of funny, though. And, Goku Black and Fighters used sort of like a Demon Fang-esque move. So, like, it's already there, Tomizawa-san. It's already there, Tomi P. Just pull Dragon Ball, put it in Tales of the Rays, or give us, I saw that trademark. I don't really talk about news anymore, but I saw that trademark for Arise. Prime opportunity, sir. No. I always have to make my reviews a little more silly. These are basically like little solo podcasts anyway. I guess basically my show, I can talk about what I want. But anyway, Monaito, he thinks otherwise he can heal Granolah completely, which he does. And he also heals Goku and Vegeta. And he thinks his skills have improved because of all the healing he's done lately. Meanwhile, Alec is being all angry and being all like, man, the play was like a scam. I shouldn't have trusted those stupid Dragon Balls. But while he's kind of venting and stuff, he notices a ship above him coming down. And he calls to open the hatch right away. And Goku calls him out for leaving his family behind, but Alec's all like, you need to shut up. We do not have time. And Gas is about to get up. We need to go, before things get crazy. And then, an energy blast runs right through Monaito and shocks everyone. Before Alec has time to finish, a big energy blast just comes through, and it turns out Gas is still alive and up and still willing to kill. But now he looks like, he is disgusting. He's old and zombie looking. And Granolah rushes to Monaito while Goku and Vegeta charge at Gas. And Gas is now able to use telekinesis to beat them up. And even goes through his own blasts and doesn't even care about getting hurt. He's literally kind of just whatever. Vegeta knows that they feel like they're fighting someone who's already dead, like a corpse. And he also says that being the strongest in the universe thing is like a curse in this situation. Because I guess from a standpoint of he can't really get hurt too bad because technically everyone's weaker than him, in theory. Granolah tells Monaito to hang in there, but Monaito is all,
thanks for the fun times, bro. It was real nasty sick. You can have my Xbox.
And Alec, he starts to get really wild and tears gas on kill everyone. But Maki is all he's trying to get everyone to go home and stop because she doesn't like all this kind of Alec slaps her. And Alec says there won't be much time left. There's not going to be a next time because Gas only has minutes to live because he sacrificed that much time. So yeah, there we go. I kind of answered my own question there because I couldn't remember exactly how long, but he was down to the. You could maybe argue that he had maybe 3 hours left or maybe an hour left, but now he's down to the minutes. And Gas overhears this and gets concerned, looks in his face, and he's like, and it's hurry up, dude. We need to hurry up before. And it sounds like he's about to say before he shows up, but he gets cut off because Frieza's here. Frieza. You know where I was going with this? You probably saw the memes on Twitter. You know what's about to happen. Frieza shows up and he's all like, I'm here to fuck your shit up. And he shows up. And he apparently recognizes, Gas and is like, what business does he have here? And Gas apparently loses his shit and tries to attack Frieza, but Frieza just kills him in one hit. Where he's basically a skeleton. And Frieza calls out Alec for contacting him, and Alec tries to say they just got their wires crossed. I guess sort of the idea is that, Alec reached out to Frieza saying, hey, there's shit here, but he was hoping to not show up. I don't know. Or either that or he didn't realize that Frieza was showing up. That's kind of where they make it sound like he wasn't really expecting Frieza to show up, even though that was kind of one way for certain. Alec did not want to be here when Frieza shows up. He's like, oh, we just got our wires crossed and there's not a deal, but Frieza, he doesn't buy it. And he says he knew about the whole he was playing for the past 40 years and to have them killed, he let them do it. so he could exploit them for his own benefit. And Frieza ends up taunting Elec for being the weakest of the heaters, which, yeah, he kind of is, especially considering we don't even see his stupid fucking bone thing, which is maybe code for he doesn't actually have one. And also, since he uses little gunny guns to kill people. And Elec, he gets mad and tries to throw a punch, but Frieza catches it and basically kills Elec. That was kind of what I was referring to with Elec, you know, not really being as fleshed out as I wanted. Not that he wasn't a fleshed out character, but like I wanted to see more. But I can't because he's dead. And then Goku and Vegeta's like, well, wait a minute, how is Frieza able to kill Gas so easily? Like, Elec, it makes sense because, you know, like he's not a fighter, but Gas? Goku and Vegeta were struggling with him at this point. And Frieza reveals something. He was on a planet recently that he conquered, and he found a place similar to the hyperbolic time chamber. He doesn't like say like it's like that hyperbolic time chamber place. He's like he kind of describes a place that's similar to the hyperbolic time chamber, and he trained there for an equivalent of 10 years. And to show the results of his training, he powers up to a new form which he calls Black Frieza. Yep, Frieza gets a new form. It's Black Frieza. He looks different a little bit. We actually just got the colored version of it to where it's like, you know, most of his face and skin and legs are black, but like his torso is that sort of like white color or silver or whatever. And Goku and Vegeta power up to Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego to try to combat Frieza. Frieza takes them both out in one gut punch, both of them. So Frieza is like hella strong. Frieza says that he surpassed both of them, but he only came because of the call, so he won't kill them today. And then he goes up and then he offers both Maki and Oil jobs as waitstaff and cooks on his ship, which they take. And the three of them fly off. And then Whis shows up and ends up throwing everyone a bone, particularly Goku, and heals Monaito, since they are buddies and stuff. And he also says that Goku and Vegeta are needed back on Beerus' planet because he can't figure out how to make instant yakisoba, which I might maybe have myself some. Of course, I have a chicken sandwich I need to eat, but we'll see. You know, I'm kind of hungry right now after talking for so much. But Granolah, he gets offered to train with them too, but he says he wants to stay and use the Dragon Balls to fix the damage done to the planet. And Monaito also plans to seal away the Dragon Balls. Vegeta hands them a Dragon Rays that he found from the heaters so that, you know, they can do that. And Monaito gives Goku Bardock's Scouter. They all say bye-bye, and Vegeta tells Granolah that he should come to Earth if he ever wants to fight again. And Granolah says that he might and he doesn't plan on losing. So, you know, they gained a cool little rival friend out of it, even though he's only got 3 years left to live. Unless he decides to undo his, like, I undid all my training, or I undid my wish, but I trained a bunch, you know. Which, I mean, you know, that's kind of sort of what happened to Maris, you know, like, he gained, like, a mortal body. So, he kind of lost his angel powers. So, really, all he has left is the skill, but, you know. And then Goku asks Whis, as they're leaving, if the Orca Fish, the vision of the strongest warrior, because they were kind of talking about that, was talking about Frieza, and Whis says it maybe could have been, or maybe there was someone else in the universe, and then Goku says he needs to train to be ready to fight the bad guy. And Whis is all like, yeah, that's cool and all, but first, let's eat some instant yakisoba. And the arc is over. And they even have a little thing at the end saying like, okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break to prepare for the next arc. Now, granted, this was like several months ago, and, you know, as I'm recording this, I'm pretty sure we're like a few days away from the arc. I might have to kind of take a look and... Okay, so I can maybe read it on... Oh, we'll see. I like to kind of schedule my Dragon Ball manga reading sessions on a good day. Or particularly a day off from work. But, yeah, so that's the arc. I did it all in one recording, unlike the Arise video. But anyway, overall, I liked the arc. I thought it was cool, and I think Granolah's pretty cool, and I thought the heaters were really cool. It's a bit of a shame that we don't really get to see too much of them anymore, because obviously Gas is dead, and Elec is dead, and it seems kind of like the 7-3 thing kind of... was just sort of like a plot device to introduce Granolah. That's not necessarily, you know, a new thing. Because, you know, they kind of did that with Cyborg Frieza, or Mecha Frieza, or however you say it. With Trunks back in the old days. But, some of the lore stuff was interesting. The Heaters being involved in Frieza's, planet conquering, escapades from the very beginning, like 40 years ago. Bardock having saved Monaito and Granolah, and him getting his little power boost is kind of okay. The whole thing with Beerus telling Vegeta that he's the one who told Frieza to blow up the planet, I don't know how I feel about that. Goku getting a memory of his parents, I don't know how I feel about that. The whole wish with the Dragon Balls that Bardock's made, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, overall, I like the arc, but I feel like some of the lore stuff is a little sketchy to me, because I don't really like kind of where some of the lore's going. I do like that they kind of sort of worked with Bardock's character a little more. He's obviously, it's not exactly the way it was before, but it's at least kind of a start, and he's kind of cool. So, but overall, decent arc, just some lore stuff that I wasn't too crazy on. Maybe in the next arc they'll maybe add some more stuff as well. And I do kind of both like and dislike the explanation of Ultra Instinct from Whis, and I also love that Vegeta got Ultra Ego. And even on some level, I kind of like Black Frieza, if not just because we have Orange Piccolo and Beast Gohan. So, like, I kind of like that all the major characters are getting, like, these sort of, like, godly forms, even though, Golden Frieza was basically Super Saiyan God for Frieza, but now it's like, oh, he has Super Saiyan Blue now. Of course, then, Piccolo had sort of, like, not as orange like Lime Piccolo, and then he got Orange Piccolo. So I guess you could say Lime Piccolo is Super Saiyan God, and then Orange Piccolo is Super Saiyan Blue. I don't know, but it's cool. And I it would have been maybe cool to see the other characters. I'm okay with it being the Goku and Vegeta show for a little bit because Vegeta's my favorite character anyway, so I'm happy to see him. But hopefully, with the next arc being, it seems like it's going to take mainly on Earth, because from what we understand, it'll be adaptating some stuff of Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie. So we don't know if Orange Piccolo is going to show up. We don't know if Magenta or Gamma 1 and 2 or all of them are going to show up. In fact, it kind of looks like the Gamma 1 and 2 roles are being taken over by Goten and Trunks, they're keeping their teen designs that they have from the movie, but they have like these cool like slight Great Saiyaman copy robot Sentai outfits. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That chapter is going to be coming up pretty soon as of this recording. By the time this video goes up, we'll probably be well into the arc, and I'll probably review that when the time is right. But yeah, overall, I like this arc. I thought it was cool. I thought the characters were interesting, and it was cool seeing Bardock. And I like how they handled with the Dragon Balls. How like you don't need necessarily 7 to have a full set. And also Granolah was interesting, and like I said, the Heaters were interesting. Ultra Ego's cool. On some level, Black Frieza's kind of cool. I'm confused on Goku's new version of Ultra Instinct. They make it kind of sound like the ultimate goal is to be able to make it into a form with the transformation and all that, but we'll see. That's kind of how I took it. And again, some of the lore stuff that they were doing, like Beerus telling Vegeta that he's the one who told Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta, I didn't like. Bardock more or less using the Dragon Balls to make sure Goku and Raditz survived and lived, I didn't really like. Goku, him getting Saiyan Pride, I think is cool, and him having some sort of interaction, physical or not, with Bardock, I think is cool, but I don't really want him to. I like it better when he doesn't have any memories of Planet Vegeta and he was like a little baby. I mean, I guess then, the whole thing of him losing his memories from hitting his head is kind of pointless, because if you're that young, what memories do you have? But then you can maybe say it's like, Saiyan nature thing. Because they talked about how, when he was a little baby, he was pretty difficult until he hit his head, and then he kind of calmed down. So, I don't know. That's just my take on the whole thing. But overall, I still enjoyed the arc, and if it gets an anime adaptation when the Super Anime starts back up, assuming it does, which I think we all are of the opinion that it probably will, hopefully they'll maybe tighten up some of the stuff and whatnot. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoy most things Dragon Ball, so it's always a nice little read. I actually kind of like that I've got something to read each month, and I look forward to doing it all again. But yeah. Oh, I guess I should maybe note that the I was gonna maybe do this earlier, but the image I used was from, I don't remember what chapter it's from. I'd have to look back and see what it is, but I used this one because I kind of like the image of Vegeta and Goku and Granolah and that little panel thing, because I like getting to see all of them, because I feel like they all kind of had a lot to do with this arc, obviously, and also, you know, just the whole thing of like the fate of these three people come together, you know, kind of thing. You know, it'll be interesting to kind of see what image I use for the next arc, but that's how I do. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. If you guys read it, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and maybe we can have a little conversation. If you've listened this far, thank you very much for listening to this while you're driving to work, or while you're going on a walk, or while you're grinding in Elden Ring or whatever, or Diablo 4. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to kind of look and see what's out by the time this video goes up. But yeah, thank you all for listening. This is Flamzeron, aka Tasuke, aka Ryan, signing out. See you later.